And that would be the welcoming horn for the cheetah to South Florida. For those of you who do not know, the Dolphins are on fire, baby. We got Tyreek Hill. Let's go, South Florida. Let's go.
Cheetah and the Penguin. Cheetah and the Penguin.
So we were in the middle of a call, and this guy is cracking up, smiling like out there. Go, what's up? He goes, in the middle of a coaching call. He goes, Dolphins got Tyreek.
Well, you know what? To be fair, and I said this to Jake because it happened while we were at lunch yesterday. I was sitting there with him when it happened, and it's really the first time that the Dolphins have had a playmaker in their prime since Ricky Williams.
And Ricky Williams wasn't really in his prime.
He was pretty good, though. Like, let's be clear.
He was
damn good.
He ran the ball every play.
Right. So, like, it's really exciting to have a guy who you know is electric that can make something happen with the ball in his hands. And, you know, they did something for the first time in forever.
Okay. So here's my conversation with you. A couple of things. So Andy Reid is not a dumb coach, right?
Sure.
Holmes loved throwing to him. Why would they let him go?
Just can't keep all three. You can't pay him.
Right. Okay. So that's that. Now you're really going to find out if you got a quarterback or not.
Yeah. Well, so I was listening to sports radio on the way home yesterday, and everybody was talking about like, oh, well, Tua still can't throw it far. You don't throw it far to Tyreek Hill. You throw it 5 yards to Tyreek Hill. He makes everybody miss, and he turns 5-yard plays into 30, 60-yard plays. Look, like, I'm a football guy. I studied it for a long time.
Wait. You're a football guy? No.
This is hands down the best move that the Dolphins have made since they brought in Ricky Williams. I just, like, for the first time in forever, I'm looking at them going, it seems like we're an organization that knows what they're doing. Wow, okay. Like, you knew you had to keep Tua. You knew you had to put pieces around him to figure out whether or not he could be successful. So you sold this year's draft to get a guy that would make him elite. And if he's not the guy, guess what? You got your first-round pick next year to go get a quarterback or do what you need to do. So it's exciting for the Dolphins and the organization. I know not everybody here is a sports fan, but it's a good conversation.
And you, as a season ticket holder, it is very pertinent to you.
Sure.
So, and knowing that you're going to be a new father and those seats are going to be available, I'm very happy.
Don't worry, I will offer you a very fair price.
It's okay. Listen.
One more thing for the sports talk that I think is very interesting, right? So the Golden State Warriors come to town, and the Golden State Warriors are relatively like, you know, the Knicks back in the day or the Bulls back in the day. Like, they come into town, they're star-studded. Everybody wants to go to that game. Do you know how many of their stars played in the game last night in Miami?
0.
Goose egg, my friends. So, like, you don't think that's planned? Like, they come to Miami and that happens to be the night that they take off for the game? Like, they're not hanging out, having a great time, enjoying the trip to South Beach?
Spring break, baby.
Right.
Yeah. So, listen, the night before they played the Sixers and they played without their 2 stars. So they've lost twice to teams without their stars. What does that say? So
nice little East Coast tour that they're in.
But I will tell you this, just throwing it out there. We were supposed to have our strategy session yesterday. I was feeling a little under the weather, so I decided not to venture out. Laid down and turned on Yellowstone.
Yeah.
I'll see you in a couple of weeks. I'm through season 1, and the whole dynamic of dad to kids is so relatable. It is Succession with cowboy hats, I guess.
So 1,000%. That's the way I felt. As soon as I watched it, I was like, oh, this is Succession in Wyoming. Like, take New York out of it, take take capital business out of it, move it to ranching and in Wyoming, and you've got Succession in cowboy hats.
This one has a little bit more Sopranos in it, you know.
There's definitely more drama, and there's
Right.
definitely more of a it gets a little far-fetched at times. There's definitely some things happening, but I love it. I thought it was a fantastic show. And then I watched 1883, which was also fantastic. Tim McGraw, Faith Hill, they were just great.
So I will tell you that, look, Bob Goldfarb, I'm listening to all the fanfare, and now I am a fan. And so for those of you who are looking for me to be doing anything special, I won't be, because I'll be watching Yellowstone.
So to answer Chris White's question, we're going to jump back to basketball for a second. Last night, there was a heated conversation between Udonis Haslem and Jimmy Butler. What happened was they were in the huddle, right? Spo had said something to Jimmy B. Jimmy B responds some kind of way that didn't rub anybody the right way. Spo kind of looked at him like, what are you talking about? And then Udonis hopped out of the back and was clearly saying to him, I will kick your ass. I will kick your ass. So, I don't think it was necessarily a fight between Udonis and Jimmy. I think Udonis came to the support of Spo, which is great to see. Love to see heated conversations within the team. I think it's a good thing.
So it's a good segue for what we're going to talk about today, because it is about family. Yellowstone is about family. The Heat is a family. They interviewed Spo afterwards, and they were like, "What was that about?" He goes, "Dinner."
Yeah, they were arguing over dinner plans. Right? So it's great stuff. So we got lots of conversation about sports and content, but we're going to celebrate one of the greatest movies ever this morning. But before we can do that, let's get to some wake-up music.
Wake up, everybody! Get up! Get up! Get up! Get up! Wake up! Come on! Come on! Wake up, everybody! Teach a new way. Maybe then they'll listen what you have to say. Wake up, everybody! No more sleeping in bed. No more back to thinking. Time for thinking ahead. Come on now.
Before you kick it off, just a couple of shout outs. Haven't seen our friend Beth Halleck for a while. So shout out to Beth coming to us from Greenville, South Carolina. I see Tim Anderson is traveling. He asked the question, John Dutton or Tony Soprano, or maybe they're the same person.
Yeah, well, I mean, you love Kevin Costner. So, I mean, I have one more piece of TV for people as a recommendation. We started it last night. The Looming Tower, which is on Hulu. It's a Hulu original, but you know who's in it that I just, after starting it last night, I realized he never misses either, is Jeff Daniels.
Oh, God.
Never misses. Like, anytime I get a show with Jeff Daniels in it, I absolutely love it. We started it last night, and it's actually the story about CIA and the FBI working prior to September 11th and all the things that were happening. But we got through the first episode, and you get through it, and you're like, we're in. We are locked.
Love it.
So, great stuff. All right, moving on. Today, we get to celebrate, hands down, the best movie ever made. It's the 50th anniversary of The Godfather today. And I think I was probably like 9 years old when I watched The Godfather for the first time.
Good dad, right? I was a good content for a 9-year-old.
And then since then, have probably watched it, I don't know, at least 50 times since then. We're going to share some of the greatest lessons. Is there anything you want to talk about before we get into showing?
Thank you for that. So there is no Sopranos, there is no Goodfellas, there is no Yellowstone without The Godfather. That set the tone. It is so deeply embedded in our culture. Who he was, Marlon Brando was amazing. The stories in it about how they casted it, what they did, and the succession of other ones. You can argue 2 and 3, but it is so amazing the lessons that you can take away from this. And this one validates more than any other movie. I think movies all teach us, but this one, there are true lessons to take away that I refer to on a daily basis. It just clicks in my head. I go, another example.
It's the story is fantastic. The story of Michael Corleone is fantastic, but I have a whole new appreciation for it because it was a family business, right? And Michael chose not to go into the family business originally. He went off, he joins the army, he does his own thing, and then comes back and joins the family business. So I watch it now with an entirely different perspective, but let's jump into showing some of the scenes. Let's talk about some of the great lessons that you can learn from this. Shay, show me the first one.
It's not personal, Sonny. It's strictly business.
So you and I have gone back and forth on this a lot of times before, right?
And we're going to do it again today.
It's not personal. It's strictly business. It's a great lesson. It's a great in that scene and how he's talking about it. He's talking about it not being an emotional decision. Because I'm not using a personal vendetta for this, correct, right? I'm making a business decision here, but the opposite of that is that all business is personal, right? Personal. It's all personal. It's
if
all
you're
relationship.
if you want to be good at what you do, you better take it personally. And I said this the other day. Somebody just hired me, and I said, I just want you to know that I take this personally. This is every single engagement is a challenge for me to do my best and see you soar. And if you don't, it hurts me. Yep. It's something I did. And so, the lessons are two-sided, which happens a lot. Do not make emotional decisions. Right. That's true, because emotion can make you do things that
make bad decisions. Look at Sonny, right? Sonny is the ultimate example of that, where he gets killed and all of the things happen to him. He makes really emotional decisions, which puts the business and the family in poor positions. But, and this kind of piggybacks off of one of my coaching calls yesterday, when you take what you do personally, sometimes that makes working with people very difficult. It makes the feedback that you get from people that your bosses or the people that you report to difficult. I remember sitting in staff meetings with head coaches who would point to something or talk about something, and it would rub me the absolute wrong way because I was like, what are you talking about? Are you not invested in this the way I am? Or do you not care as much about the outcome as I do? How could you ever think or say that? There's no way you could think that if you were taking it as personally as I take this. So I think,
I think when you get around other people, passion runs good and bad, emotion runs good and bad. If your emotion bleeds on people right, it doesn't work.
But so I think when you're building your team or you have people involved with you, you want to know that they are invested in it with you. You want to know that they're taking it personally with you and that it matters to them, which is a great takeaway from that. Shay, show me the next one.
What can I do? What can I do? What is that nonsense? Ridiculous. You spend time with your family?
Sure I do.
Good. Because a man who doesn't spend time with his family can never be a real man.
So
what's really cool for me is I can go back and remember when I first heard that and felt like I was sitting in a chair that I got zapped. Okay, what just happened? Oh my God, that's got to be top of the list. And I don't know why it had such an impact, but it did.
So, and I think that's huge because in that scene, he's kind of building that criteria on whether or not I'm going to help you. You know what I mean? Like, there's only certain people I'm going to help. And this is an important thing for me to know that you spend time with your family. So as we talk about business, we talk about being successful, we talk about mindset and time management, spending time with your family is such a priority. And obviously The Godfather drove that home. Shay, show me the next one. Shay.
He had come to me in friendship, and the scum that ruined your daughter would be suffering this very day. And if by chance an honest man like yourself should make enemies, then he would become my enemies. And then they would fear you.
Be my friend? Godfather?
Good. Someday, and that day may never come, I'll call upon you to do a service for me. But until that day, accept this justice as a gift on my daughter's wedding day.
It's a lot to unpack there, but I think starting with don't show up with an ask, right? For those of you who don't know the scene, he shows up trying to buy this favor. I'll do this for you. I'll do that for you. And he says, if you just would have come to me as a friend, then I would have helped you immediately. All of these problems that you're already having would have already been gone because you would have come to me in friendship. Instead, you came to me in a way where you were trying to buy me, and I can't be bought. That's not a relationship that works.
I mean, if there was ever a clip that defines LinkedIn, that's the one. You know, it's
Right.
like, don't fucking pitch me. When you pitch, I ditch, man. See ya. I'm out.
Stop showing up with an ass.
And I talk about this, with Rick Whalen, from Affleck. The way I met Rick was no ask. He's a Jet fan, man. We became, we commiserated over being Jet fans. That led to all the other stuff. And so everybody that we work with, every single person that I am in contact with, I say, why would you jump in and go, hey, can I talk to you about what I do for a living first? Ridiculous. It's like a total stranger. Do you want to talk about this? I'm like, no, let's talk about shit we have in common.
I think the other side of that is also the end where he's not asking for anything in return. Someday I'm going to come and ask a favor of you in return. But for now, I'm going to do this for you. And at some point, you'll return a favor for me. That giving and that just being willing to do the deed for somebody and not have an ask in return right now is what validates that relationship. What can you do for somebody today, right now, that offers them something that gives value to them and knowing that at some point it'll come back around?
So early on, way before social media, and every person that's watching this should really pay attention to this, really own this. I would sit down. I'm a guy that was out networking, trying to find business. So I'm bringing people in. When I sit down in front of somebody new, when I learn what they do, I should be able to give them a couple of introductions of, hey, I just met these three people, and these three people seem like they might be able to use your service. People go like, what? What did you just do? I go, I'm connecting you. I'm giving you first before I get. Oh my God. So, one of the reasons why I was successful, maybe the ultimate reason, was I just kind of sprayed the stuff out there all the time. I liked it. Made me feel good. Made an impression on people. Wow, I like this guy. When they needed my service, I was the only one they called. So, that's that whole Pied Piper thing. Just give. Just keep giving it.
I love it. And let's go to the last one, which is always a great lesson that I had to learn very early.
Dave Stavali, just so you know, the Jets did not offer a number one. They weren't even in the game.
All right, Jay Shea, show me the last one.
That I cannot do.
I'll give you anything you ask.
We've known each other many years, but this is the first time you ever came to me for counsel and for help. I can't remember the last time that you invited me to your house for a cup of coffee. even though my wife is godmother to your only child.
Oh, that wasn't it. But that was the start of the previous scene where he comes to him with an ask, right, and doesn't give value. Shay, do we have the one that's about never tell anyone outside the family? Do we have that one?
Okay, so Shay is hiding. Here's the reality. Here's the reality. And I think it's important. This is my favorite one of all. You know, what's going on with us is our business and only our business. When you speak and let someone else know what's happening in your organization, shame on them, out the door. So like to me, that talks to people who talk shit. They call it dirty laundry. You take my dirty laundry outside, you talk about us to somebody else, you're gone. Out. See you. You know?
Santino, come here. What's the matter with you? I think your brain is going soft from all that comedy you're playing with that young girl. Never tell anybody outside the family what you're thinking again. Go on.
So that to me is in a group setting, you're having conversations, you disagree, or even internally with an organization, right? Like if you're in a group setting and you have a group meeting and you disagree with what somebody says, or there's a miscommunication somewhere, taking it directly back to them and having the confidence and understanding how to communicate back and have those conversations are what make great organizations great organizations. Those are the conversations that allow teams to become better. That conversation that happened yesterday on the Heat sideline, right? Spo didn't come out and talk about what we said.
Bingo.
It's not your business. We'll handle it inside of the family. There are disagreements that happen, but we're going to take care of it, and we're going to have the conversations that we need to in order to become the team that we need to be. So whether it's family, whether it's business, whether it's both, keeping it in the family and having those conversations are what make the organizations
I'll
great.
take it one step further. If you're interviewing people to join your organization and they're shitting on the organization they came from, guess what? It won't be long before they're shitting on you too. So the whole idea, even in competition, I never talk bad about the competition. That's great. They got their way of doing it. I'm not talking about their price. I'm not talking about the way they do it, because that's shitting on them. That's talking outside of your frame of reference. Only own what you own. Keep it in the family. Do it. Stay on. We just watched the whole show with that.
I love it. Great day to celebrate the Godfather. Take the lessons away, put them to work. Have a fantastic Thursday.
Speaking of family, today the On the Ball team is taking a field trip. We're on the train. We're down in Miami to visit the guy who used to be president of On the Ball, because I didn't have family. He was the next best thing to family. So we're going down to see Zach Stein. Zach is building a business. And we're going to go. We're going to reminisce. We're going to catch up, and we're going to talk about new business. And it's just the way life is.
Zach, we'll see you this afternoon. Let's go. Have a great Thursday. Let's get down to business.
Please don't worry about me. I'm about to let my heart speak. My friends keep telling me to leave this. So let's get down to business. Let's get down to business. Give you one more night to get this.